Hi, my name's Amanda. I'm from the UK, and I've been doing Callie's balance riding course, and I just wanted to share a bit about my experience of it. I really love the balance riding course, and I still love it because it's going to be there forever, and there is so much material there that I can just keep going back to, and everybody that does the course can as well. So I wanted to just share some of the fun that I had doing it, some of the highs, but also maybe I'll just touch also on how it helped me through some bits of lows, to be honest, and helped me go through some confidence problems. So a tiny bit about me. I gave up full-time work about 2 years ago now, and I started then to volunteer at the United Kingdom riding for the disabled group. So that's mainly young children riding horses who are children who are disabled. And amongst the many bits that I get out of that on many levels, it rekindled my interest in returning to riding myself, which I've done sporadically over the years but never really become a very talented rider. So I went off to a local stables and had a few lessons, and just by chance managed to, I asked one day about the possibility of sharing, and lo and behold she said, oh yes, you can share our red Blue Cross pony. That's a rescue pony called Elvis, more of Elvis later, and of course that allowed me to have time on my own with a horse, which I'd never done before. And being a trainer and a teacher myself, I couldn't quite leave it at that. I would always want to get more learning background. And it was at that time, I'd been following Callie's free videos and blog that she does on a Friday, but then I became aware of the balance riding course, and so that's what I decided to do. It is a fair investment, but when I opened it for the first time, I realised just what a great value it was going to be. In fact, I remember thinking I'd got the value already, and we hadn't even got to lesson 1. We were still in the pre-work, because you get lots of extras. Like one of my favourites is what I call a 101 video about how to open and close a gate and take a horse through it, which actually I'd never been taught before. So then there's lots like that. But there's also some fantastic high-level stuff in training journals about the way Callie actually trains all her horses. Anyway, back to fun. I did say I would tell you about the fun. So one of the things, the first 2 lessons actually are about horses on the ground, which I particularly liked, and I learned how to do clicker training with Elvis. And now, bearing in mind that when I was allowed to take Elvis on as a share pony, it was because he was absolutely bomb-proof, would never put a foot out of place. The yard owner called him a dull boy, and the kids in the yard say, oh, that's Elvis, he will always win the slow man race. Apparently this is to do with gymkhanas, and he always came last. But anyway, have a little look at Elvis and me doing clicker training. Okay, so I did say that I talk about achievements as well. So one of my biggest achievements for doing the balance riding course was my jumping lessons. So I actually had 6 physical jumping lessons here with an instructor in the UK. But the main thing I was able to do because of the balance riding course was to practice in between times the really important stuff of getting a 2-point position, getting the feel of that, and I did that on Mondays with my share horse. But during that process I actually had a big drop in confidence. I won't bore you with all the details, and what really worked for me was to go back to the videos, the preparation for jumping videos, and take several steps backwards and practice even more. So I think this is representative of Callie's style of teaching, in my view anyway, and that is that she builds everything up really slowly. What she says is, we take a small step first and we get really great at the first step until we move on to the second step. And that's really worked for me, particularly with those jumping videos. There's a series of 2 or 3 of them where you build up. And the other thing I find really great is watching Callie do it, because she obviously does it extremely well. And I can't exactly emulate that, but seeing somebody doing it really well is brilliant as well. So anyway, this is the result of my 6 jumping lessons plus the balance riding course practice. I actually watch that video quite a lot, well, when it comes up from time to time, because it makes me feel really happy. So well, I could go on for hours about the balance riding course, and I won't, obviously, because you don't want to stay all day. But there is so much to it. It's a 6 to 8 week structure to start with. The layout on the screen is really fantastic. The quality of the videos, well, you may have seen those already on YouTube. They're that quality always. There's so many extras. I mentioned training journals, but there's much more in training journals actually. She has a lot of recordings from clinics that have been done at her barn. She's has interviews with experts in other areas. She's put in even some of her own lessons. You can see, I think that's really, really brave. So yeah, and I don't know what the arrangements are now, but Training Journals was available to us for a year after we'd gone on the balanced riding course. So the one final thing that I just wanted to mention was it's about the way horses learn. So my take on it is that there's been a traditional way of training horses, and there is now emerging a new way of training horses, which is much more on a basis of understanding exactly how they learn. And I believe that Callie and her team are at the forefront, or very close to the forefront of these methods. So she has a lot of knowledge about horse behaviour, about how they learn, and I know that she always puts the welfare of the horse right at the centre of what she does. And so that, I just wanted to mention that because I think that's really important to me, and I think they all do it superbly there. So yes, I will finally finish with saying I really love the balance riding course. I continue to love it, because there's still loads of stuff I haven't done, even though I followed it quite closely over 6 weeks. And I hope that Callie and the team's education and education style will carry on for a very long time. I know it will, and I also hope that it gets far and wide around the world. So I hope you enjoyed sharing my experiences, and I'd just like to say one last thank you to Callie and the team.